Campaign 2018 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, Marshfield Clinic Health System, AARP Wisconsin, and Campaign 2018 partner Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
Erica Flynn of Greenfield is a Democratic candidate in the 84th Assembly District. Erica, welcome to WisconsinEye.
Thank you for having me.
What do you consider the top issue in your campaign, Erica?
The top issue is healthcare.
Healthcare.
Yes. It is such a fundamental issue for a lot of people in my community, in my district. As I'm knocking on doors, I hear over and over again the stories of folks who, their healthcare is very expensive, or they can't afford it, or the prescription costs are going up. This is something that really needs to be addressed, and we can do something about it on the state level. We can do all kinds of things, but our current state representation has not done so. So this is my number one priority.
And the number one thing that we could do as a state to deal with the healthcare issue is what?
We can accept the Medicaid expansion.
Okay.
It's our money. It's our money that we pay in our taxes. We have lost out on over $1 billion of funding that could have covered thousands more Wisconsinites. This would actually save our state $190 million per year if we just took our own money. This is a no-brainer, but our current government has chosen not to do so.
Would accepting the federal money and the expansion, would that also help healthcare in the rural areas, Erica?
I think it would. What the Medicaid expansion does is cover folks who are kind of in between. So they're not, they can't get Badger Care right now because they make too much money, but they don't make enough that they can afford healthcare on the private market. And I think in our rural communities, a lot of folks are in that middle ground, and this might help them get care and get coverage.
Does state government have a role in retaining and recruiting doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals?
I think they do. And I think that by providing more sustainable healthcare for folks will help bring in those professionals. If we have a stable market, the professionals will know that, hey, maybe this is a good place to do business. That kind of thing.
State government and Delta Dental have a partner in a program that subsidizes dental clinics in low-income areas. Should that remain a priority in the next Medicaid budget?
I think it should. I think everyone should have dental coverage, to be honest with you. Okay. I think it's actually pretty odd that we separate dental out of the rest of healthcare when dental is so important.
As you meet voters, do they mention questions involving caregivers? AARP estimates that we have 578,000 caregivers in Wisconsin caring for family members or neighbors, people they love. AARP asks, do we need new law or new rules that require hospitals to better deal, that's a pretty vague phrase, give new rights to caregivers when someone they love is hospitalized?
New rights in, do you mean like in legal terms, or how do you mean?
Access to be a partner in that loved one's health care.
Oh, sure. Yeah. If that person needs a healthcare provider, or needs somebody a caregiver, why wouldn't they be involved in their healthcare decisions? They're there all the time and they know what's going on.
The deadlock in the Capitol on how we pay for highways, bridges, construction, maintenance. If you had a wand, wave your wand and solve it.
Well, we do have the second worst roads in the nation. This is obviously a situation that needs resolving. I think that we can start by looking at our budget and reprioritizing, because your budget is your morals, right? Right now we have, our government gave a $27.5 million tax break to the top 15 earners in our state, just 15 people. $27.5 million that could be used on our roads. I think that we need to rethink those priorities, and we really need to institute a progressive tax structure to fulfill those priorities.
Do we need to change our tax structure before we raise the gas tax or the registration fee?
I think that would be, something we would do first.
The interest in the Capital One tolling, your position on tolling?
I don't like tolls. I don't think anyone likes tolls.
The local governments have been dealing with levy limits to control property taxes for 14 years. Some local government leaders say that gets in the way of their ability to provide services. Keep levy limits, loosen them, get rid of them.
I believe in local control. So the current government has passed a lot of regulations and laws that limit local control. I would like to reinstate that because I think a local government, a local community knows what they need. They know if they want to raise taxes to pay for, a road or school or what have you, they should be able to do that. And I don't think it's up to Madison to determine the priorities of these local communities.
The legislature and governor approved billions in potential tax breaks to Foxconn. Now Kimberly-Clark wants similar tax breaks. What's your position on when state government should help private companies?
I hope Foxconn succeeds wildly. I am really hesitant though. I'm nervous about it because I know $4.5 billion is a whole lot of money. And according to the estimates, we won't see a profit for 25 years, I believe it is.
That was the Fiscal Bureau estimate.
The Fiscal Bureau estimate.
Yes.
No one makes an investment 25 years out. But I do hope that it succeeds. I don't think that we should be investing in foreign corporations. Multi-billion-dollar corporations from overseas do not need our money. I think a better use of our money is to invest it here in Wisconsin in homegrown small businesses that will have a lot harder time just bailing on their community. Like Foxconn has a history of not living up to their promises and just leaving the state. It would be quite easy for them to do that. It's a lot harder with a small business that's embedded in the community, and I think that's where we need to put our money.
So you're afraid Kimberly-Clark would just open the door to lots of other companies asking for the same type benefits?
Yeah, I think public money needs to be for the public good, not for private enterprise.
The current state budget did include a significant increase in state aid for our K-12 public schools. From what you're hearing from talking to school leaders, school board leaders, is it enough or do we need another major increase in the next budget?
I think we need another major increase. The increases recently are just a drop in the bucket to the overall decreases of it. Public education has been cut by over $1 billion since 2010. That's unacceptable. I think it was $250 million that they added back. We still need millions and millions more to care for our schools, to teach our children. Public education is the bedrock of our democracy. We have to invest in it, or we don't have a democracy at all.
Choice, the voucher program, has grown dramatically. It started in Milwaukee. We're seeing now statewide. Should it expand further? What's your position on Choice?
I think public dollars should be used for public schools. Voucher schools are, they're not accountable to the people. They don't have a school board. They don't have to hold to the same rules as public schools. And it's essentially creating a two-tier system, right, where our public dollars are funding two different school systems. And we can't afford it. We have to put our money into one school system, our public school system, that is accountable to the people through our school boards and through oversight. And I think with voucher schools, if I had my way, we would gradually taper down and then have none, because public dollars, public good.
Big debate in the next budget will be over the Department of Corrections. Our Green Bay and Waupun prisons were built in the 1800s. Do we need a new state prison?
I don't think so. I think what we need to do with our money, we need to invest in rehabilitation, job training. So when someone has paid their debt to society, they're ready to come out and be a productive member of society again.
Some Democratic candidates for governor suggested we could cut our prison population in half. Do you believe that?
In half? I would need to look into the exact numbers. I'm in favor of marijuana legalization and decriminalization, for example. Okay. I know there are a lot of folks behind bars right now for a nonviolent, low-level marijuana offense. I think those people should be released. I mean, there's no reason for them to be locked up. They need to be released, their records expunged, and so they can go on about their lives in a productive way.
UW system budget. We've frozen resident undergrad tuition for 6 years. The governor wants to freeze to continue for a 7th and 8th year. Your position?
I think it's good to control the cost of higher education. It does keep going up and up. I think that we need to fund our UW system. You know, like we were talking about with the prison system and building a new prison. We actually spend more on a prison system than we do in the entire UW system. And that is an imbalance of our priorities. So I think we need to invest more in the UW system. We also need to make it so that, you know, students, when they come out, they can refinance their student loans at a lower rate, so that, you know, just like a mortgage or a car payment, so that they can, you know, actually pay that off. So.
Elected officials have approved $100 million in school safety grants. Is it enough, or do we need to change gun laws?
We need to change gun laws.
How?
Goodness. Well, for one thing, we need to close the loopholes in the universal background check. So right now, if you're at a gun show, if it's a private sale, you don't have to go through that background check. That's a loophole that needs to be closed. Another thing we can do is enact what's called a red flag law. So if someone is in danger of hurting themselves or others, and that person really needs help, you can petition the court to have their firearms held in escrow, or just held by the court for a time while that person gets help that they need. And this will prevent a lot of suicides. Most successful suicides involve guns, and that is totally preventable.
As a first-time candidate, what have you learned about the 84th District that you didn't know before you announced you wanted to represent it?
Well, like New Berlin, for instance, is really interesting. I spent a year in New Berlin in high school. I lived there for a year, but I didn't realize how rural it is on the western side. You know, there's a lot of folks on the eastern side, and then as you're driving, all of a sudden it becomes like fields. And I'm like, wow, okay, because I didn't really get out there that often. I thought that was really interesting that the district has this variety of the rural and the city life. I really like that about the district. And
finally, you're challenging an incumbent. You want to talk about differences between you and the incumbent and your opposing?
Well, you know, pretty much everything we talked about.
Oh, I see.
Well, I am a project manager. I have worked in the health insurance industry before the ACA became law. I currently work in financial technology. I think I have the skills to bring to Madison and you know what, I want to listen to people. I want to be available and transparent. I don't see that in our current government right now. I don't see a lot of involvement and communication with the district. I would like to be as available as possible to the people. Thank you. Erica Flynn of Greenfield is a Democratic candidate in the 84th Assembly District. The election is November 6th. Erica, thank you for talking to WisconsinEye. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Campaign 2018 is sponsored by Wisconsin Hospital Association, Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Realtors Association, Marshfield Clinic Health System, AARP Wisconsin, and Campaign 2018 partner Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.